Hello and welcome to the ChinnyVision May Patreon supporter Q&A, and I've been answering questions from the people who support ChinnyVision via Patreon. Now, I came down to the sea here at Kelshot on Southampton Water because when I left home it was a lovely, sunny, beautiful day, blue skies, no wind, and I got down here and it's grey and incredibly windy, so you're going to have a bit of wind noise on the microphone, I'm afraid. But hey, you got something to look at. There's a big shipping container over there, and there's a guy out there doing stuff on a that's kind of windsurfing, parasailing. What is that? There's stuff going on out there anyway. Got my questions. Right. So these are all from channel supporters. There will be a Q&A for everybody in July. Actually, I'll be asking for questions for that at the end of June, so keep an eye out for that. And the wind, I can't keep my bit of paper still. Look, here we go, there's my bit of paper there. Didn't bring a Scion down to the beach this time. Glad I didn't. There's a man behind me looking at me. How come whenever I do these things I set up and then I think I'm in the middle of nowhere and someone suddenly turns up behind me and starts gawping at me just because I'm waving around a big microphone like that. Okay. Right, Dave Curran asks, and he's from Time Mouth Software, who did the VIC-20 add-on with the Futures 8-bit. What bit of new hardware for retro computers do you want that doesn't exist yet? Or in other words, what should I design next? Well, I don't know. Some kind of thing for the Amstrad CPC that allows any CPC to have SD card access, whether it's got a floppy controller or not. And if you're doing that, it's probably going on the expansion port, in which case, why not throw in a few ROMs as well, like Maxim and Protext and other stuff, utility ROMs. That would be incredibly useful. Parados, even. How about that? Disk interface that has Parados built into it. That would be really, really cool. The next question's marked as from being from me, which it isn't, because I know it's actually from Zoe Kirk Robinson, who couldn't log into Patreon but asked me this via Twitter because she couldn't find a login. If you could build a computer from the parts of each system from the classic 70s and 80s era, which parts would you choose? Now you see, you got all those custom chips, or that custom chip in the MSX2, which would be really interesting in some other Z80 systems, although I guess if you stuck that custom chip into a Spectrum or Amstrad, it would effectively turn that into an MSX. I don't know, and if you took some of the custom chips from an Amiga, that would turn it into from an Amiga and put them in an ST, that would turn an ST into an Amiga. The ASIC chip the ASIC chip in the Amstrad CPC Plus is interesting. Imagine combining that with something like the C64 and throwing in DMA support and things like that into the C64, although, again, wasn't that what the C65 was supposed to do? Look at that big shipping container out there. It's been guided into Southampton Water by a tugboat behind it. I hope you can hear me. This could be a complete waste of time. Question from Richard Shaw, right? Do you feel only asking for a tiny donation per month for Patreon is working better for you than other channels who ask for higher? Well, the difference here is I'm not trying to make a living from this. A lot of channels are professional YouTubers, including some retro channels, or they want to be, and fair enough. I kind of say, well, look, I don't put adverts on the channel, but if everyone wants to look at cool stuff, then a bit of help is appreciated, because A, it buys me a coffee and keeps me going, and B, I can save up the cash and buy things like that MSX2, which is going to be of great use to the channel. And I think just asking for, whatever people want to give, really, you don't have to give anything. If you want to donate $1 a month, that's really cool. There's no rewards on the Patreon. I might, if something realistic came along, I could offer something, but really it's just about getting me a coffee every week and using any leftover cash for buying cool stuff for the channel, be it cartridges for the Master System and Mega Drive, handhelds, things like the MSX2, the Tandy, the Archimedes, which I know still isn't online, but that's away for repair. Is this tide coming in? I'm always being chased by the tide. I'm just conscious that it's coming in. So yeah, I mean, any help on Patreon is really, really useful and helpful. And I'll put across a list of Patreon supporters across the bottom of this video as well. So, you know who's helping. Mark Buffoon I can't read my own writing. Mark asks, I can't hold this open, it's so windy. Why does this always happen to me? I did this with the best of intentions, it was glorious. Curious to know what your system owning history was growing up. Amstrad CPC 6128 got that Christmas 85, computer for all the family. Then didn't get anything else until the GX 4000 Christmas 1990, and it went a bit mad after that. Got a Spectrum Plus 3 Christmas 91, Amiga 1200 92, CD32 Christmas 93, and after that it became PCs and things. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of those guys out now, isn't there? Hopefully something interesting to look at. So yeah, quite dully, I didn't own every kind of system that you can imagine in the 80s, although I did acquire a second-hand Spectrum in 88 or 89, and I acquired my mate C64 when he got an ST, so I was starting to build my retro collection fairly early on. But you know, when you're a kid, it's not manageable either, is it really? And I also bought a couple of second-hand Spectrum 48K Pluses when I was at school, come to think of it. Secondary school, so about 91, something like that, about 10 quid each with a few games, both with messed up membranes. Dion Guy asks, favourite SID tunes? Last V8, that's a really good tune. It's just pretty good. There's a PD game called Battle Bars that has a really nice tune on it as well, which I really like. I'm not going to try and hum it to you, not in this wind. But yeah. Philip asks, have you ever abandoned an episode because the game was just so bad? I think there's a couple on the Patreon channel. There's definitely one. There's that detective game for the Spectrum that basically was so paper thin and so rubbish, I gave up. In fact, I think it crashed in the end. I just went, nah, not doing that anymore. So I'm just going to hold you up so you can see that container. You got. I'm going to wipe the lens first. There. And you can see the container ship over there just coming in. There's a guy on a windsurfing thing going across there. The wind's good for them today, and is that an Isle of Wight catamaran out there? I think it is, going from Southampton. Isle of Wight's over there, by the way, just to give you an idea. That's Southampton water over there, and you come over there and you can't see it, but the Isle of Wight is just over there in the mist, and then you go around there. So yeah, I'm going to put you back down there. Hopefully you're level, or at least that's something interesting to look at, really, isn't it? Right, and I'm getting splashed because this tide really is high. I am getting splashed now. Right, Rob asks, what value do you think there's in the preservation of the loading experience? Whether it's things like loading mini games, introduction sequence, and displaying, turns page over, can't turn page over because of the wind, loading screens and things. Is it part of the experience that should be preserved or left to wither away as fast alternatives are brought to the fore? It's always fun to load from tape and see what you've got in terms of loading screens. It's always nice to see more complete snapshot images that have the loading screens and things. For ChinnyVision, I've got to be fast. I can't load everything from tape. I sometimes do, and you see it when I'm doing that. But most of the time I'm using SD cards because time. One episode a week, multi-formats. It's very difficult to get all the stuff done. So convenience is very important, and I guess convenience is important for all the people who buy SD card solutions. But it's nice if the people doing the SD card cracks, or just cracks in general, are using preserving the loading screens and things. So yeah, it's nice, and it's nice to load from tapes while we still can, because frankly I'm amazed that the low quality tapes that most of these games were recorded on still work over 30 years later. Really amazed, because we were all told in the 90s no, magnetic tape is no good for preservation, it will fall apart, and yet most of my tapes are still absolutely fine. A few I've bought on eBay that have probably been poorly stored in bad condition, but no, mine are okay. I'm sorry for any wind noise. I do have a dead cat on this mic here. Hello. But it is exceptionally windy here. Richard Shaw Wright asks, favourite magazine writers back in the olden days? Well, it's the Future magazines, really. I thought the Newsfield guys thought a bit much of themselves. Amstrad Action leading the way, setting the template for so many magazines that came afterwards. Of course, if Amstrad Action had failed, there'll be no future publishing and no Commodore format and no Amiga format. And they really set the template. Your Sinclair as well, especially the Future era, it comes back to Future again. And I guess all those Future guys who really did a good job in the late 80s, early 90s of telling the truth and doing good quality reviews and making them funny. And the Commodore format website's got a lot of reviews with some of the guys from Commodore format, which is nice to see, so do check that site out. Generally kind of Amstrad Action, Your Sinclair, Commodore format, those magazines wasn't really a meme. I didn't get the whole Mean Machines and CMVG thing. Again, they just kind of thought too much of themselves. Just my opinion. Getting my bit of paper again. Philip asks, what do you use to capture the video? Depends on the format, and it all goes into a Blackmagic capture card into a Mac, but how it gets converted into component video to capture it depends on what the machine I'm using, what the signal's coming in. Is it S-video? Is it RGB? Or in the case of that Tandy the other week, is it RF? I've got various DVD recorders I use as live signal converters. So the DVD recorder isn't recording anything, it is just doing the signal conversion and a bit of deinterlacing, and then it goes into the capture card. Also, sometimes you need to tame the audio down as well, so you might have to go through a mixing desk just to get the level down. The BBC Micro can be a bit loud, for example, so you have to tame it down a bit because the capture card won't like it. Tobo Bobo, or Tubbo Bobo, asks, joystick or keyboard? As a kid, joystick always, couldn't get on with keyboard, but as an adult, I sometimes find keyboard easier. Depends on the game, really. Is that going to need another wipe? You're going to need another wipe. And if you've got any splashes on the screen now, well, I can't do too much about it. I might do a few little cutaway shots around here as well. Just take the camera around. Oh, that's disappearing around there now as well. Just disappearing around the corner. I learned to sail around there. I say learned to sail. I've got a level 1 certificate. It was days like this I was learning to sail out here. It was grim. Do not attempt to learn to sail at Calshot. Go somewhere nice. Go to the Mediterranean to learn how to sail, or Cornwall. Don't come to Calshot because it's grim. Right, okay. Yeah, so keyboard or joystick. Yeah, I mean, it depends on the joystick as well, I guess. I don't like PC games on joystick because of all those analog joysticks. Joypad is nicer these days. I've got a couple of Cheetah Bollocks, I think they're called, which are really nice joypads from the 80s that no one else seems to have heard of, that are quite nice, and I use those a lot these days for reviews because they've also got the Sinclair Grey lead on them as well. I think one of my bits of paper was blown away. I'm going to have to go and fetch that. Oh! Ow. Right. I'm not editing any of this. You can just have it as it is, because part of the point of me coming out here today and spending the time coming out is I didn't want to have to do loads of editing. So... Right, okay. Couple of questions to the back office show, who kindly... We just got our Amstrad pen pad back from the back office show. I donated it to them, wasn't expecting it back, and they sent it back to me all cleaned up and working, so that was really nice of them. So thank you to them for that, and do check out their channel. They've got 2 questions. If you could have any game remade for current hardware, what would you have? I'm still waiting for a new version of Chucky Egg. Ooh, I was thinking about Flight Simulator on the PC the other day, because there's no... Microsoft have kind of abandoned that, but there's a new rival application for flying planes realistically. I think it's X-Plane, I think it's called. So if I had any time, I'd buy it, but I spend my time doing ChinnyVision, so I won't. Gradius ports would be nice, modern ones, although would they lose their appeal? I don't know. That's an interesting one with on new, because it's part of the graphics. The graphics are part of it, isn't it? Really. So, yeah. So Flight Sim. Although I think I've already answered my own question there in terms of a modern kind of remake. Certainly a bit of Fly Around Meigs Field, which is no longer there because they the local mayor bulldozed it one night so they could no longer land planes there, and they turned it into a garden. If we had a fly around there, would be really nice, because that's very evocative, playing that on my Amstrad PC, just taking off from that little runway, flying around and landing back again. And everyone did that, didn't they, on their PCs? The first time they got PCs, I'm being bothered by seagulls. I ain't got nothing for you, mate. Not even a computer. I don't even have any computers with me. Not that a seagull would want a computer. So yeah, right, back down there. I might put you down close to the water and see what happens, although it's a really stupid thing to do. No, I'm leaving you there because I'm getting splashed. Right, one more question, back office show also. Do you think the Sinclair Spectrum created a nation of coders, or actually stunted technological growth of the UK market by preventing better specification machines from flourishing? Well, the trouble is, better specification machines, like the MSX, were more expensive. Or the Amstrad CPC, or the Amiga. How expensive was the Amiga when it came out? £700 compared to £149, £159 for the Spectrum. What the Spectrum did was made computers affordable. Anybody could go and buy one and mess around with it, and it got computing into as many people's hands as possible. So it really, I don't think it stunted growth. I think it really got people going and interested. So when they were older and had more disposable income, they could buy better, faster computers. So I think the Spectrum was a really important part of the community, and what some other countries lack. Certainly America doesn't have the same bedroom coder mentality as the UK did in the 80s, with people like the Oliver twins and all sorts of others knocking out the Pickford brothers, although they were working with binary design though, so not a good example. But you know the guys I mean, who were doing all these games and knocking these games out. So yeah, I think the Spectrum was an incredibly useful thing to have in the UK. So that's all the questions on ChinnyVision. We're running up to 20 minutes, and this is going to be unedited unless this turns out to be a complete disaster and nobody could hear anything. I'm going to walk around and give you a few cutaways to look at. Thank you to all the Patreon supporters who helped the channel, who've asked all the questions today. Any help people give the channel, whether it be the back office show, people like the Future Was 8-Bit, helping out and repairing stuff, and everybody else, people who've donated hardware, it is all really appreciated. And if you want to ask, if any non-supporters want to ask questions, store them up, and in late June I'm going to put a call out on Twitter for everyone to ask questions. So there'll be a general Q&A from a sandy beach somewhere, perhaps a bit warmer, but you know as well as I do, it won't be. See you soon. Oh, and remember to like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Cheers.